in the right of center policy world, coming not from a university, but from a think tank. And MI was going to be my home until it wasn't.
So, I'm trying to resist Professor being a brat right now.
I know what you're going to say.
And being like, well, I told you those people weren't your friends.
That's what I told you
those are bad fellas, but
Hey, I could not do that. I'm sorry, maybe that's immature of me. Maybe I still got a lot of growing up to do. So Mr. Glenn Loury, I think it's Loury, like Mike Larry. Okay, hey, check this out. Mr. Glenn is now being canceled by his fellow Republicans for speaking out against, yes, you guess, Israel and their genocide against the Palestinian people. Who would have ever thought Republicans who hide behind the whole, free speech and, you should be able to speak your mind and if you got good takes, bad takes, you should be freely able to say that. Mr. Glenn, the black conservative, is now being canceled. And this is why it's so hard for me to take black conservatives, black Republicans, whatever you want to call them, to take them seriously. Because we know it is not a secret anymore, especially for the past 10 years. Republicans do not care about yo black ass. Now, I'm not saying like regular Joe Schmo who works with you, he's white and he claims to be a Republican or a conservative. I'm not talking about, it's obviously regular folk, but I'm talking about the Republican talking heads, the Republican leaderships like the Ben Shapiro's and the all those Charlie Kirks and all that. Those individuals do not like you. They just use you because you're black. And you can say, you can repeat, you can mimic all the white supremacist talking points and can't really be called racist because you're black. Which we know black folks can be racist against their own people, but that keeps white people kind of safe because it's like, oh, this black guy that I watch, he says all this X, Y, and Z, so it's okay. So it's hard for me to really care what he has to say, which we're gonna get into, but when it comes to what's happening in Gaza with the Israel people, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on this. I already made like 1,000 videos about this, but when you are a African American, when you are a black American, and you're somewhat in political media, or you're a journalist, or you're a writer, or you're somewhere in between, whatever you want to call yourself, you have somewhat of a responsibility to speak up for the Palestinian people. And I'm going to try to make this short. I don't want to turn this video into like an hour video, but as black folks, if you know your history, American history, if you know your history, you should understand. You don't have to agree with Hamas. You don't have to cheer on the Hamas. We all know what Hamas did on October 7th is evil to its very core. We get that. But do not sit here and look at me and pretend like you don't understand why that happened. Once again, look at Black history, Nat Turner, and a bunch of other slave rebellions that, kind of happened, didn't really happen, but whatever the case is, they killed plenty of white people, women, and children. Let me be back in those days. I can't tell you with a straight face saying I wouldn't do that. I have been enslaved and mistreated by every sense of the word for my whole life. My parents, my grandparents, and my kids are going to live this life. I am going to kill whoever I need to get out. I'm sorry. That's just reality. We're humans. So as a African American, you have to somewhat understand the history that has been going on over there. Once again, I don't want to turn this into a 2-hour video. If you guys want to talk about it, hit me up in the blue sky. We can chat about it. But let's go ahead and get into this interview. Brianna Joy Gray, or is it Gray Joy? Joy Gray, I believe it is. She is talking to Glenn about him getting canceled. And once again, if you guys want to watch this entire interview, there is her channel right there. Go ahead and watch it. I'm just going to kind of single out 2 moments here. One where he kind of explains why he got canceled. And I want to fast forward to where he read Ta-Nehisi Coates' book. And that really spoke to him. That really got his brain, I guess, actually thinking. And you can tell it's coming from a genuine place. But just like Brianna kind of said, like, it's really hard to say, I told you so. Those Republicans are not your friends. I'm sorry. But let's go ahead and get into it.
Back in 2020, again, you and I are not going to agree about all these things. And I was going to sort of plant my flag with the Manhattan Institute, which you asked me to describe, and I think I've done an adequate job of doing so. I was going to be a player in the right of center policy world, coming not from a university, but from a think tank. And MI was going to be my home until it wasn't.
So, I'm trying to resist Professor being a brat right now.
I know what you're going to say.
And being like, well, I told you those people weren't your friends.
That's what I told you
those are bad fellas. But
Hey, I could not do that. I'm sorry, like, maybe that's immature of me. Maybe I still got a lot of growing up to do. But it is hard when you have been trying to tell your fellow Americans, your brother, your sister, it's hard to not have that sort of attitude like, oh, now they're against you. Now you're sitting here saying exactly what we've been telling you for years, for decades. You've been playing on the other team, coming up with all kind of excuses. But now, now when they cancel you for the same thing that we have been defending, all of a sudden you expect us to, invite you to the barbecues all of a sudden? Once again, I might be the immature one. I don't know. You still ain't getting the invitation from me. But, okay, I guess, whatever. It's the end of democracy anyway, so who cares, I guess.
I'm gonna resist. At least I'm gonna try to hold it off for at least like 20 minutes of this podcast and just ask you on your own terms, sort of how you responded to this. So you're telling me that these are people with whom you've had good professional and personal relationships and with whom you are ideologically aligned. And you've also said this is a think tank or an institute that focuses mostly on domestic urban politics. Right. So the question I have is, were you surprised when the issue of an international conflict between 2 countries that, of course, has implications given America's role in funding Israel, but is fundamentally an international, non-domestic conflict, was something that was such a red line and that caused people with whom you had these professional and personal relationships and so much simpatico to respond to you in what seems like a kind of cursory and quick fashion?
Was I surprised? Well, yeah, I was, and I shouldn't have been.
Why do you say you shouldn't have been?
Because maybe, just maybe, folks has been telling you this. Okay, I digress. My bad. Okay, let's continue.
Well,
let's continue.
I mean, look, it didn't happen all in one day. Back in January of 2024, a few months after October 7th, And I should say that I denounced the violence perpetrated by Hamas in southern Israel on October 7th. I think I want to get that on the record. I have no brief for it whatsoever. It was a whole lot of adjectives that we could run down if we had the time. It was a bad thing. I have no justification or argument for it. It's not justified by, and then we can go into the history and there'll be different points of view, but that history doesn't justify what was done. I'm against it.
I guess that's where we differ. Like, you can still be against it, but understand the history within its context. Like, I don't know why people are like so scared to do that. Like, come on, let's just be adults here, okay? Like, but so, I kind of wanted to show you where, he still denounces, October 7th, all that good stuff. But unfortunately, this guy, he is a really slow talker, which is fine. That's all well and dandy. But once again, I don't want to use her entire video. She worked hard to get these interviews, so I don't want to like take her whole video like that. So let's go ahead and fast forward to where he gets into the interesting parts and kind of nods and hints and winks at what we've been saying for a decade. Well, not we. I've only been in politics for the past maybe 10 years. So, but we've been saying this for a long time.
With the, same kind of smear. And there's a moment of recognition. And I don't mean to go on too long about this, but I'm just saying, he's a black man. I'm a black man. He ventures into this thicket.
So he's talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates. I'm sorry. Once again, I'm sorry for pausing, but he's talking about Ta-Nehisi Coates in his new book, Message, which I just downloaded a few hours ago. I've been forgetting to do that, but he read his book and that's what kind of got the gears going. So that's who he's referring to right now.
He's a black man. I'm a black man. He ventures into this thicket. I've been to Israel on many occasions, half dozen occasions over the course of the last 50 years. And he comes back and he reflects on it. In the 21st century, after the liberation of South Africa, after the triumph of anti-racism as a normative principle in global affairs, and he has something to say. And I thought, A, you brave dude, because you're walking into a maelstrom. But I thought, B, you're a writer. You're a black writer. I'm a writer, kind of. I'm definitely a black kind of writer. What am I about? I see what you're about. What am I? I was shaken by that book. I was made to ask myself some questions about that book. And these questions were all the more powerful in my mind, in my observing that my conversation partner, John McWhorter, God love him, was not willing to ask those questions about himself. And, what kind of black writers are we now? And now I'm not necessarily commenting on the Middle East. I'm commenting on a kind of fidelity and integrity within the intellectual life of a black man in 21st century civilization.
Hey, I'm just saying. What he just said right there, one, that is amazing how a book can have you thinking about what the author wants you to think about, the conflict that's going on in the Middle East. But then it hits so hard at home, you start to reflect on your own life and what you're supposed to be doing. That, and even more as a black man. Oh my. Hey, I'm just saying, did he not know who Ta-Nehisi was? I'm just saying. But it's just, it feels genuine. But once again, damn, where have you been? Oh, I'm sorry, you've been playing this whole political game. And that's why, hey, I hate politics. Because if people were having genuine conversations, Glenn would have been at this point of his life. He would have already been here decades ago. But when people get into politics, it's a big game to them. They don't care about the substance. They don't care about the conversation. They don't care about the data. They don't care about solutions. They just care about their side winning. And that's it. That's all that matters to them. But once you start thinking, hey, whoa, now you question yourself as a human being here on this earth. Man, hey, amen, God bless. There you go.
And I'm not going to let these people, defenders of Israel, tell me that I can't have that feeling, that I can't see with sympathy the consequences of the domination of these people. I'm talking about the Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank. You use the settler colonialism analogy, and that's trivial, woke postmodernism. Well, it may or may not apply in every detail to the historical facts of Palestine and Israel, but it's definitely not irrelevant. You say apartheid. This is not apartheid. This is the administration of a necessary occupation where blah, blah, et cetera, et cetera. And I say, okay, Jimmy Carter, I got that from Jimmy Carter. I got that from Beth Stellum. I got that from the criminal court. I mean, but if you say don't use it, I won't use it. But it does have apartheid-like features, doesn't it?
No, it does. Just I don't care what nobody tries to describe it. I'm not saying I'm a philosopher or some sort of genius or I know it all when it comes to the Israel and Palestinian, the whole Middle East, like, forever war, it seems like. But I did my due diligence. I read my books. I listened to the interviews. I sat and listened to the documentaries. Like, I got a pretty good sense, okay? Once again, it is an occupation. For sure. It is an open air prison. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's simple, but okay, whatever. Got you.
So you say South Africa is irrelevant, the world opinion, the UN General Assembly and whatnot. And I say, look, I descend from people who sought succor and cover under the global agreement about human decency and equality, of which the South African relevance to this case is one such. Don't tell me I can't do that. What kind of intellectual, what kind of Black intellectual would I be if I let you tell me that I couldn't do that? Oh, so now you're going to go to how phony it is for me to put myself forward as a Black intellectual because I've essentialized identity. Who exactly is essentializing identity in this argument? You mean to say Jewish identity is not as problematic as is Black identity, and some of the same questions of essentialization and socialism, chauvinism could be raised against it? You call me the universalist ground, but you retreat behind a partisan ethnic bunker? So,
hey,
Brianna, let me say it again. What Hamas did on October 7, 2023 was horrific, despicable, but it does not justify the destruction of 2 million people. And if I were to watch that.
Hey, I think that, right, hold on, time out. That deserves a repeat, okay? I mean, of course, it does suck. It's 2 years later. Almost, 60, 70,000 people, which majority of that is women and kids, have been killed. Over 111,000 people have been injured. Over 2 million Palestinian people have been displaced. About 98% of Gaza has been flattened. It might be a little too late to sit here and say, hey, Israel shouldn't be doing this. I mean, a lot of us have been calling this out since, maybe day 7? You know what I'm saying? The first month? Like, hey, this is going a little too far. Like, and if you understand the rhetoric from the Israeli government just years and decades before, you kind of had an understanding of what was to come, which I was right. I ain't going, hey, I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder. I was right. So, but hey, let's go ahead and repeat that. I guess it's better late than never, I guess.
But it does not just October 7, 2020. Let me say it again. What Hamas did on October 7, 2023 was horrific, despicable, but it does not justify the destruction of 2 million people. And if I were to watch that unfold before my very eyes and not say so, what kind of human being, let alone Black intellectual, would I be? That's how I feel about it.
Hey, I'm just saying, once again, he could be full of it. He could just be trying to lick his wounds because his friends, his conservatives, Republican, white friends, kicked him to the curb because he stepped out of pocket. He thought he could have his own opinions. He thought he could speak his own mind. He thought he can have his own until he realized that's not how that works. Maybe, very possible, okay? But I'm just saying, at some point, you can't justify what's been going on. After 2 years, there's no plan. I'm sorry, there's no plan. At some point, you run out of excuses. You run out of, but Hamas, tunnels, blah, blah, all that stupid stuff. You run out. So,
Professor, it's kind of emotional and thrilling and exciting and confounding to hear you wrestle with what feels like what's 100% at the heart of not just this issue, the Israel-Palestine issue, but also what's been animating a lot of other prongs of discourse over the past years. I recently was engaging with Norm Finkelstein, who's another one of these sort of iconoclasts who...
All right, and then they kind of get into slightly something a little different there, but I just... It is important. And once again, everyone's journey, I guess, is different. So I'm trying to respect other people from... hey, if they slowly start to see the light, if they slowly start to understand, like, hey, I've been defending something that should not have been defended. Okay, cool. I've been running with a group of people that kicked me to the curb for having my own opinion about X, Y, and Z. Okay, sure. But as a black man in America, it doesn't take a genius to understand. You don't have to be some philosopher and have a master's degree of Middle East war or whatever. Like, no, it's not that deep. Just read a little bit, understand that you come from a country that practiced the same thing. I mean, they say Hitler even looked up to America during the Jim Crow era. He was inspired by America on how they treated black folks and non-white folks. Let that sink in for a second. So if you understand your history, you should be able to at least sympathize to any measure for the Palestinian people. Once again, you don't have to cheer or, support Hamas. No. But you should be able to defend those innocent people from what Israel has been wanting to do for decades. For decades. But once again, hey, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just, just don't know nothing. I don't know. But once again, guys, thank you for watching this video. If you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, let me know in the comments down below or hit that blue sky link down below so we can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.
I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Hey. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra, extra.